What is going on, gang-a-lang? We're back with another tier list, and this time around I will be ranking various Family Guy characters, and we'll see how I do with the list. It can't be that divisive, considering we all know what characters suck and which ones don't.
I wouldn't count your eggs before they chicken Barack.
This dude's brain is already fried.
You'd be right about that, Donald. Well, let's not drag the intro, because this time around we have a somewhat long list, and right off the bat, I am going to put our first 4 entries into C tier. Because who really cares about any of these people? Like, no one with a straight face can tell me that they cared about the principal.
Well, I did not care about the principal. You'd be correct about that statement, Barack.
Was half expecting you to just say he was your favorite character just so that you can argue with me, but I'm glad you aren't doing that. Well, anyways, after that, we then have back-to-back B tiers with Bertram and Bonnie. Don't have much to say about these two, but they're cool. And Bonnie is kind of hot, so you and Donald get a point for that. But more importantly, we are finally talking about a main cast member, and this might anger you guys, but I have Brian, Bruce, video store guy, and Lois's dad all going into A tier. You guys will probably get upset at me for the Brian placement, but I don't really like him as a character. Like, bro is kind of lame and boring and doesn't really have much of a personality.
I think I understand what's going on here. See, Barack, you see too much of yourself in Brian. You're both the lame foil characters to the cooler and much more liked characters. Like, no one thinks Brian is genuinely funny, but they still put up with him because he's a longtime member of the crew. Much like how our audience puts up with you and only likes you because you've been doing this for so long. Other than that, they'd choose me or Joe like 10 times out of 10.
Okay, I am not the Brian of the group. I'm more like the cool, I don't want to be compared to any characters from Family Guy. They're all either stupid or just flat out bad people. Our next 3 entries, though, aren't bad people because I have Adam West, may he rest in peace. Then Chris Griffin and Cleveland Jr., all going into S tier. Now, people may call me crazy for having Cleveland Jr. so high up, but I don't think it's crazy to say that he's a better character than his dad.
He also just has that lovable fat person energy that both him and Donald have.
Give the Ozempic more time, Joe, and watch. Sooner rather than later, I'm going to be looking like some starving child from the Middle East right after Barack bombed his only source of food.
Uncalled for, but I can tell you're only saying that because you're upset, and that's fine. I'll just continue to do the list and pay no mind to your stupid comments. Well, anyways, then after we have back-to-back A tiers, because I have Cleveland Brown and Consuela going there because I don't think Cleveland adds much, but he has his moments much like Brian. Consuela is funny, though, in the short time that she has been on the show. But man, oh man, let's turn our attention to our next 2 because we have back-to-back B tiers, because I love me Donna, and Dr. Hartman gets some love too, but more importantly, let's get back to Donna. And goddamn, I know I call you and Joe some pigs, but you guys got me here. I love me some Donna Tubbs.
I can't blame you at all, Barack. I'd take a trip to Browntown to get me all that extra pudding she got on her thing.
I don't get it. Are we saying she has some big bunda? Because the Joe Dog has to agree if that's the case.
Yes, Joe, that's what we were alluding to, but I didn't want to flat out say it in respect to our female audience.
Well, I feel like you kind of did that already. It's not like you were keeping it under wraps.
You know what? If you're saying that to me, then it must have been hella obvious, and my apologies to our audience, but whatever. What's said is said, and we have to move on with the list, and then after we have back-to-back S-tier characters in the Chicken Man and Herbert. Now, every time I see the Chicken Man, I know some fight is going to happen, and that it'll take up like 3 to 6 minutes of the total episode time. But you know what? I'm totally okay with that and rather quite enjoy it, and I think that's why he has to stay high up. And with Herbert, I mean, well, he's kind of just like Joe over here. You condemn whatever evil actions he's doing, but at the end of the day, he's a funny guy, and you just got to accept that.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. I wouldn't say I do evil actions. I do things that make me feel good, and if I feel good, then that's a win for all parties involved, no matter what the Joe Dog does.
That's a scary mindset to have, Joe, but I guess I'd agree with you because ultimately real MFers know that they have to put themselves first before everyone else. And you know what, Joe? I subscribe to that mindset. And speaking of subscribe, if you all made it this far into the video, then you should subscribe, or you should already be subscribed to the channel.
You two make super dumb points, but I'll give you some points, Donald, because at least you plugged the subscription to Fraile, and I support selling out, although that wouldn't be selling out because it's the channel we're all on, and yeah, I don't know. Either way, I don't want to think about that and instead want to continue on with the list. And up next we have James Woods getting a C tier because he was all right in the episodes he was in, but aside from that, he wasn't really all that. More importantly, we got some certified stinkers up next because we have back-to-back D tiers in Jerome, Jesus Christ of Nazareth, and lastly, Jillian. Well, these characters are a whole bunch of nothing burgers, and they don't really do much for me. Like, Jerome is probably the best of the three, but even then they didn't really do a lot with his character. Like, Chris dated his daughter, and he wasn't okay with that because he was white, and then he also banged Lois. But aside from those two things, I don't think he has done anything in the series at all, and now he's just a bartender. Then for Jesus, well, he's just Jesus and just used for comedic reasons. And they're not entirely hilarious. The one where he almost banged Lois was all right, but he could have been utilized better, like with South Park's version of Jesus. And lastly, for Jillian, well, she's just a dumb, hot character, and that's it. I don't really have more to say.
Goddamn well, you already spoke for like half an hour, man. Why the hell did you have a lot to say about the first D tiers on this list?
I don't know, man. I just had a strong opinion on them. I don't know what you want me to say. Well, either way, I have some happy news for the people because I have Joe going straight into S tier. I feel like any fan of Family Guy is just a fan of Joe. And then I have Lois going into A tier and Meg going into B tier. I feel like those are valid statements because Lois is an all right character. But I prefer when she goes a bit crazy. And Meg is just Meg. And I think it's gross when she does extremely dirty stuff. But when she's normal, she's okay. More importantly, we have the father-son duo of Mort and Neil, and I have Mort going straight into S tier because, damn, I know he's a walking stereotype, but he is freaking hilarious. It's like when South Park brought on Kyle's cousin, and he was just a walking stereotype, too. Neil, though, is kind of whatever, and I have him going into C tier. He's just another Mort, but not done as well. Then while I'm rating the side characters, I may as well rate the news station anchorman guy who yells, I forgot his name, but both him and Opie get an A tier. I like these side characters and think they add a nice bit of fun. And I'm always glad to see them whenever they pop up in the show.
Okay, this is somewhat valid, but the Joe Dog thinks that you're overrating the anchorman guy because all he does is yell and show up in small segments.
But that's what makes him so refreshing, Joe. He shows up rarely, and when he does, it's a nice little goof and gaff. Well, either way, I said what I said, and now it's time for the big ones. And you all already know that I love me, Peter Griffin, and even Quagmire, because I have both going into S tier. I don't even feel the need to explain those two because they're quite obvious, but I will have to explain the next one because I have the evil monkey going into B tier. He just isn't really all that and was an overused gag until he ultimately left. I also have Seamus going into C tier because, well, he never really did anything for me. But don't worry, guys, we're back on to greatness because we have Stewie up next. And you guys already know that he carries the show when it's those Brian and Stewie episodes. But he is still a nice character. And even better, when they stopped making him obsess over killing Lois.
I fully agree with you there, Barack. They use Stewie in his fullest potential after, but for me personally, he can be a bit annoying sometimes.
Speak for yourself, Donald, because nothing makes the Joester happier than a gay baby.
Joe, you like him for all the wrong reasons, and I don't think he's confirmed to be fully gay, but either way, he's a baby, so we can't be thinking weird stuff about him. But yeah, now we're approaching the end of the list, and we have some, well, not stinkers, but they aren't amazing either, but we have some all right entries to end off the list, starting with Tom Tucker, and he gets a B tier. I like how messed up his son is, and the episodes centered around him weren't bad either. Then we have Asian reporter Trisha Takanawa, and she gets an A tier. I get that she's a stereotype sometimes, but she is a genuinely funny bit with how dedicated she is to reporting. And listen, she is used sparingly like Ollie Williams, which funnily enough, I remembered his name now, but yeah, she is used very well in my opinion. But lastly, we got the holiest of all stinkers, and honestly, I considered adding an F tier, but that would be OD if you ask me. And I would massively be hating, but I have Vinny, the dog, going into D tier. Now, I get that they were trying to drum up viewership for the whole Brian died back-to-back episodes, but Vinny the dog wasn't it. He was really boring, And even when compared to Brian, he was still boring because at least Brian can bounce off Stewie or Peter, while Vinny was just Vinny. Well, that completes my Family Guy tier list. Let me know if I cooked in the comments, everyone.
You know what? I think he cooked a bit here. I don't think there's anything super bad about it.
Yeah, but the comments will still hate it because it's Barack who made it, and honestly, that's valid as hell.
True as hell, Donald.
Now what the
What is going on, gang-a-lang? We're back with another tier list, and this time around, the Joester is about to bring you all a long-awaited tier list. I know all you real freakazoids like me wanted a pain tier list because we just can't get enough of it. I'll be ranking them from S tier all the way down to the new pleasurable tier that we made just for this list.
Okay, as gross as it is to hear that come out of your mouth, shouldn't pleasurable go towards the top or maybe even above S tier?
You freaking buffoon, if this is a pain tier list, then obviously pleasure would be at the very bottom. It's the complete opposite of pain, and obviously, if you're someone who likes it when things hurt so good, then you'd understand why those types of pain go in that tier. Like, it's not on the list, but you cannot tell me that picking a scab doesn't feel absolutely amazing.
I mean, it's not amazing, and it ends up hurting more after you're exposing the raw flesh to the air, but I mean, it does help soothe the itchiness, but it's like a double-edged sword, Joe.
Now, the only thing that is edging is me in that scenario.
All right, man, settle down and get started with the list because we're already getting a bit too crazy. And all you did was explain the pleasure tier.
I'll happily get started because the Joester was made to rate these things. Well, up first we have two back-to-back D tiers, and that is getting stabbed and drowning. Now, these go in D tier because, well, I doubt you'd feel either, to be honest. Like when you drown, you just kind of fade to black because your brain shuts down due to oxygen. So, like, I imagine this has no pain involved. And with the stab, well, if you look at the picture, you see it's a dude getting stabbed right through the chest, and you'll 100% bleed out with that, and you'll have your adrenaline activate to the point where I doubt your body would be able to recognize the pain you have before you ultimately pass away. So while those suck and all, we do have a B tier in the wasp because boy howdy, those stings sure do sting.
Joe, how in the hell is the pain of a wasp sting somehow higher than literally getting stabbed?
Come on, Barack, don't go blaming Sleepy Joe. The guy's brain probably looks like Swiss cheese with all the holes in it. I mean, for Christ's sake, we're doing a pain tier list. I don't know if you expected this to make any sense at all, especially with Joey at the helm.
You know what? I think you're right here. I don't know why I tried to follow any logic or reason when it comes to Joe. Like, even following his logic, I still think getting stabbed would definitely outrank a wasp sting, but whatever, man. I'm just going to pretend I'm watching some movie or something and suspend my belief for this tier list.
Listen, fellas, simply drown or get stabbed and then get back to me on whether or not you think it's worse than a wasp sting.
Well, I can tell you right now that it's not as bad as getting shot, and we all know that I tanked that bullet like a goddamn champ.
Bro, we saw the pictures of your ear earlier. You did not tank anything. You literally didn't even get hit by the bullet. I can't believe I went through the trouble of baking you that get-well cake.
And I can't believe that it's not butter.
What?
Sorry, I just wanted to be included. But yes, anyways, moving on with our list, we then have three back-to-back S tier entries. Because I cannot imagine a worse pain than getting skinned alive, burning alive, or even giving birth. I'm not a woman, so I can't tell you guys how bad it is, but I did that one pregnancy simulation thing, and it literally felt like I was about to evacuate my entire bowels, and all my muscles tensed up harder than me after a honey pack or rhino pill. I commend anyone who has survived any of these.
Joe, who the hell would have survived getting skinned alive? That's not even possible, I think. I'm pretty sure your body would die of shock.
Or in Donald's case, he would die from shock because of all the weight he lost.
All right, you got him there with that zinger.
I literally just exist, and you two are on me like white on rice.
Or like green on grass, or like fat on Donald.
Okay, relax now, Joe. You're going to make him leave the call.
You're right, I have the list to continue. Well, after that, we have back-to-back A tier entries because getting a broken bone or getting kicked as hard as that guy in the picture right in the balls, man, that would be so painful, like some testicular torsion magic is going on in that, and I don't think any of us men would disagree that it's painful to get kicked in the little joesters. But I will admit that there is a pleasurable way of going about it, but I digress because I will not be discussing how to commit some ball torture on this video. But yeah, then after we have some Lego stepping and this gets a C tier, it's kind of annoying, but I mean, it still hurts a decent bit, especially if you like step on it in the worst possible angle. I think I'd rather just get stabbed with some random needle in a public restroom garbage bin.
That's an oddly specific thing to mention, Joe. Did that happen to you?
Listen, man, I just wanted to see if there were some fries left over in the garbage. And next thing you know, I realized I put my hand in that needle trap from the Saw movies. It was not fun, and no, I will not be going to the doctor to see what I have. Out of sight, out of mind is what I say. But more importantly, let's talk about the next entries, because we have finally reached the pleasurable portion of the video. Because our next 5 entries are all going into the pleasurable tier. Golly, there's so much to love here, but I love me some stinging nettle rashes and just scratching the frick out of them. Getting a tattoo can be addicting too. If you know, you know. Then candle wax is self-explanatory for the real freaks out there. Paper cuts hurt so good, and I like peeling them back and seeing the inside. And lastly, holding in your pee is just great. Sometimes I do it for fun to see how long I could possibly hold it all in. Now, doesn't that sound incredibly fun, fellas?
No, Joe, it really doesn't. Whenever I want to pee, I just go pee, man. What is the point of this self-imposed game where I try to last as long as I can before pissing? Like, what could I possibly gain from that?
Pride, friendship, and so much more. If only you would give it a chance, Donald. Well, back onto the list. We then have 3 back-to-back-to-back B-tier entries in periods, bike crashes, and the most important one, burning your mouth after eating something hot. Like, do you have any idea how much it sucks to have a piping hot pizza, but then taking a bite too early that you end up burning your tongue or the roof of your mouth, and it's so bad that it then ruins the rest of your meal?
Joe, you do not know how much that exact scenario haunts me whenever it does happen. I'd put this damn pain up in S tier because not only does it hurt, but it ruins the food experience after, and maybe even days after, depending on how bad you burned it.
Leave it to Donald to relate to something once you introduce food into the picture.
Hey man, don't go being mad and bitter just because he doesn't have something that appeals to you like bombs or furry suits getting ruined.
Yeah, man, I'm just glad Donald could finally relate to the list. It brings a smile to my face. Well, continuing on with the list, we yet again have 3 back-to-back-to-back entries. But this time I have stubbing your toe, touching the hot stove, and a dog bite all going into C tier. Like, stubbing your toe hurts and all, but it isn't as bad literally after the first half a second of pain, and touching the stovetop hurts. But sometimes you don't even burn yourself if you're lucky. And the entry says touching, not burning. So we're going to go with the half a second of pain example again. And lastly, a dog bite ain't all that. Like, if you die from a dog, you know, man's best friend, then you probably had some bad juju or something. And their bites aren't even that bad. Like, if a dog ever dares to bite me, sometimes I get on all fours and start sniffing it aggressively, to the point where they start cowering and recognizing me as the alpha. Then I circle it like some sort of shark circling its prey, so I'm just on all fours going around the dog, analyzing it as it cowers down and becomes scared of me. It no longer smells fear of any sort on me, and I then give them a little bite on the nape of their neck to truly show them that I am the leader of the pack.
There is so much wrong with what you said, I don't even know where to start.
How about we start with how much forgetting to save after doing a project feels like? Now, I personally don't care, but Fraile told me that I had to put this into S tier because it's personal, is what he said. Then after we have Minion memes, and of course I'm giving this a pleasurable tier. I love these little guys. Then we have a Minecraft pet dying going into C tier. It's whatever, to be honest. And then mosquito bites going into pleasure tier as well, because I just love scratching those bad boys. Then I have shampoo getting in your eyes going into C tier because it's not bad if you wash your eyes with water.
Damn, Joe, you're firing on all cylinders, bro. Give the tier list some time to breathe, man. You just ranked all of these things and didn't let us react.
Okay, my bad. React then.
Well, now it doesn't feel that natural. Like it already settled in my mind and I'm over it now.
I'm sorry, Donnie. I'm sure you were going to say you love Minion memes too.
Definitely wasn't going to say that.
The world will never know. Anyways, following all those entries, we then have 3 back-to-back-to-back A-tier entries in the stone, bite, ankle sprain, and pepper spray in the eyes. Let me tell you all that you should never try to hit on a girl while on some stairs, because I tripped, twisted my ankle, and sprained it, then had my teeth hit a rock, all while getting sprayed by the crazy chick.
Jesus, Joe, what'd you do?
I just followed her from the bar for a couple of blocks in the middle of the night while wearing all black, and then approached her and said, "You'd look really good in my dog cage." And then she sprayed me, and all the rest is history. I swear women hate it when men are well-mannered. It strangely enough did turn me on though. but I don't want to reminisce about a good time because we have our last 3 entries and I have vaccinations going into the pleasurable tier. I remember when COVID was going crazy, I just kept getting the booster shots over and over. I swear I was addicted and I felt my immune system growing stronger and stronger. I made the damn venom symbiote inside of me. But yeah, then I have a phone hitting your face going into D tier. If anything, this saves me from falling asleep with my pants down in the family recliner. So I got to give it some props. And lastly, we have a Luigi grab, but I don't get this meme. But I would let Luigi grope and grab me any day of the week. So I'd say this is pleasurable.
Wow, what a way to end off this list.
I just wish that all women would think like me.
Joe, if that were the case, then I think I'd have to kill myself.
What is going on, gang-a-lang? We are back with another tier list, and this time around we are going to be ranking shapes. Yep. Joe and Donald just figured, hey, let's have Barry do the shape tier list. I bet he won't complain at all. Well, guess what? You two suck, and I don't even know why the hell we're doing a shapes tier list. That's like doing a colors tier list.
Okay, but I literally did that list, and it actually banged.
Yeah, and I did a crayons tier list, and that banged as well. You just seem like an ungrateful, spoiled little kid right now, Barack. You get the right, you get the privilege to do a tier list, and this is how you repay me and Donald?
All right, my bad. I forgot you two also did those weird lists too. I guess I don't have much room to complain, considering you guys did crayons and colors before I did this shape list.
Yeah, you shouldn't complain because shapes go hard, brah.
I mean, I guess, either way, I guess I have to get this list started, don't I? Well, let's go ahead and finally get to talking about shapes. And up first on our list, we have the circle. Now, you know what I love about the circle? Just how round it is and how perfectly round it is. They're like the Beyonce of shapes, strutting around with their flawless curves and 0 angles. No sides to argue about, just one smooth, continuous line that screams, I am better than all other shapes. You also know what else is in the shape of a circle? Some damn pizza, and I know Donald would twerk for circles just for that fact alone, but let's not forget that the circle basically caused the wheel to be invented and allows us to travel around on cars, bikes, you name it, and we have a use for it. Without circles, we wouldn't have any wheels at all. So next time you see a circle, give it a nod of respect. It's the OG of shapes, holding everything together while keeping it real and keeping it round.
Did this dude just go on one of the nerdiest tangents about a damn circle?
Bro, for real, said that doing this list was stupid, but then proceeded to throat the circle for like the past minute. Like, I can't even imagine coming up with all that on the spot, but this guy just spun a whole love letter to a shape.
Well, personally, I could do that because I am an intelligent man, unlike yourself, Joe, but I would have made my speech a lot cooler, and I definitely wouldn't have made that corny joke at the end.
Forgive me for being creative. God forbid I actually just have some fun with these lists instead of talking about some horrendous thing Joe did or some incredibly fat thing you did, Donald. I'm trying to make a list that our viewers can actually watch while eating.
Okay, that's not fair at all. You know, it's not me ruining my list, but rather it's whenever Joe just chimes in with one of his stories, and for whatever reason we just sit there and listen to it all, and he just says the most insane and disgusting things possible.
Let's be for real here. It's because you two secretly love hearing the juicy stories I have.
Okay, he has a point there.
It has to be the morbid curiosity within us.
Oh, for sure, that's what I'm thinking too.
It has to be right? Well, thankfully, I don't think he has one for today. That, or he just doesn't have one ready quite yet. Let's hurry through this list before he randomly remembers a story or something. So anyways, following the circle, we now have the ellipse and kite, both getting back-to-back B-tier entries. Like, they're both pretty cool and unique because the ellipse is like a thinner circle. Like if you pinched the sides and stretched it out, but it doesn't do it for me as much as the tried and true circle. And then as for the kite, well, it reminds me too much of a wannabe rhombus, and I don't really like that. It's stepping up and jacking the swagger of the rhombus too much, and I can't have that going on. And now that I'm looking at the rest of the shapes, we have all these gons up next, and I actually don't think they suck, but I don't think they're super amazing, and I think I'm going to place literally all of them into B tier. Well, all of them, except the pentagon, because that gets a banging S tier. Now, I seriously doubt the audience wanted to hear me go in depth about every single one of those shapes. They're basically circles with sides, and they just increase in the amount of sides that they have as it goes on. It's like Donald at any fast food place. The sides just keep going up and up and up when he orders.
If you ask me, I would have loved for you to talk about the Gons, because if you really don't think about it, they're like the Avengers of shapes, each bringing their unique strengths to the table, and the ever-increasing sides just adds to the enjoyment of talking about them. Like, what really has my balls to the walls twerking for them is that they can theoretically go on forever and just have more and more sides. It's an infinite shape, and really it reminds me of the phone call me and Donald had and how it all circled back to what I did during the summer of 1973. I know we have a very eager commenter who always mentions it, so I think it's about time that I talk about my inner demons and how I actually...
Yeah, we're not hearing you out on this, little bro. This is the shapes tier list and not your personal confession booth. You almost had me at the start because you were actually talking about the shapes. And I even gave you a little leeway to talk about the off-topic thing because I thought you were going to make it connect back with the topic at hand. But clearly, you were not going to do that, so I had to cut you off there. Well, now going back to the list, we then have the oval and parallelogram going into A tier. Now let's start with the oval because this is basically a better ellipse and I refuse to hear otherwise. Do you know how many things are in the shape of an oval? I can't think of many aside from a watermelon or avocado. Oh, and our eyes are oval shaped too, right? Well, some of us, because not everyone has oval shaped eyes. But yeah, I kind of started talking, but I am slowly realizing that I don't know much about ovals and just kind of put them that high because I like them. Same kind of goes with parallelograms. Like, I remember hearing about them in school, and I swear I have never heard it be muttered since my geometry class.
You could have mentioned the Oval Office or eggs, because we all know my love for eggs extends beyond eating them for breakfast. I also prefer my eggs to be ovulating.
Okay, can you not say that, please? I'd really appreciate it.
Yeah, Joe, we all know that they're better when they're not ovulating because then we won't have to worry about you making new Hunter Bidens out in the world.
Okay, no. No to all that, because we should not be talking about ovulating eggs in our shapes tier list. Instead, let's talk about our next three entries, because we have banger after banger after banger, because these all are going into S tier. There is no world out there where someone can convince me that the rectangle, rhombus, and right triangle don't bang. Like, the rectangle is such a common shape and is basically a stretched out square, but it's also a commonly used shape. Like, just look at every food box out there. That's G. Then the rhombus has 4 equal sides, just like a square, but not in perfect 90-degree angles, so that's pretty cool. See, the rhombus is all about those slants. And it's like the square decided to take a vacation and came back with a relaxed and mellowed out. Then, lastly, the right triangle is cool as hell and might be the MVP of all the shapes, because the right triangle also has the legendary Pythagorean theorem. A squared plus b squared equals sine c squared. It's a magical formula that makes it possible to find the length of any side as long as you know the other two. Then, let's not forget trigonometry. Sine, cosine, tangent, and all those fancy functions we learned in school are based on the right triangle. It's the shape that's out there, making sure engineers, architects, and physicists can do their jobs. Like, there's no way that people can't love this shape.
That was a whole lot of nerd-ass shit being repeated there, bro. I can't even front. I was about to knock out harder than Sleepy Joe at a press conference because I hate math, man. And you decided to try to persuade me and basically tell me that a shape is cool because of math? Like, do you realize how lame and nerdy that sounds? You might as well be talking to a brick wall right now because ain't a goddamn soul buying what you're selling.
Don't listen to him, Barack. I may have not understood nor paid attention to any of the stuff that you were saying, but I can say that I appreciate hearing the sweet, silky, smooth sound of your voice. And even though you cut me off earlier, I just want you to know that I forgive you and I will forever cherish you.
What the hell? I don't want your forgiveness for cutting you off. You were about to say something vile, and my rankings were not intended for the likes of you two. I'm sure the audience is going to appreciate the hard work and effort I put into describing the shapes. But anyways, then after we have the scalene triangle, and this gets a C tier, I don't like it as much as the other triangles, so naturally I have to place it this low, but Hold your horses, everyone, because we have a banger up next, because we have our tried and true square coming up next. And this is like one of the first shapes we all learn of when we're kids, and it's an incredibly influential shape.
Do you know what else is in the shape of a square? SpongeBob and I love his show.
Oh, so now you want to suck off Nick and not during our debate.
Hey man, I had to stay in my lane and I couldn't say anything about Mr. Bob.
I don't think anyone calls him Mr. Bob. I think they call him Mr. Squarepants, but whatever. I digress because we're on our final 2 entries, and up next we have our very first D-tier stinker in the trapezium, and God, this thing just sucks. I am not a fan of it at all and think it's a bit of a mood killer when it comes to all these shapes. But thankfully we are blessed to have another goated shape up next in the triangle, and this of course gets an obvious S tier because it's one of those cool ass shapes. And yeah, that's the entire shapes list. You see, I can't believe I actually went through with it and did the list.
It could have been worse, Barack. You could have heard a Joe rant.
True.
You both are some hating ass motherfuckers.
What is going on, gang-a-lang? We are back with another Barry list, and I'm sure you're all excited to see me rank some more, considering how well the shapes tier list went.
Dude, I was about to fall asleep during that video, I won't even lie. Hearing you suck off a right angle was possibly one of the worst things I've ever put myself through. That or sitting next to Joe in the back seat of your car.
I thought Barack's sensual voice was perfect ASMR, and I didn't know if I should have been sleepy or if I should have been turned on.
Definitely not either because it was a good list. Well, whatever, because now we got something better, and that is some damn emotions.
Now here's a question that I have, Lane. Why didn't we use the emotions from Inside Out to show off the different emotions? Like that would have been more visually appealing to me.
Joe, not everyone has the mentality of a toddler, and what if they haven't seen Inside Out? Then they wouldn't care at all.
Yeah, but like disgust is such a baddie. I've been using a lot of disgust Inside Out Rule 34 recently, and I've just been hankering to see some more of her. If you ask me, they need to introduce another emotion and have it be known as freaky, because it isn't enough for me to see disgust give me that look of contempt and just have her disrespect me and treat me like I'm nothing, because I am nothing. No, I want more, and we need to start a petition for the freaky emotion.
Joe, Jesus Christ, man, you cannot be saying that.
Thank you, Donald.
No problem, man, because we all know that I would much rather bang joy than disgust.
Nope, nope. Not what I intended at all. And I've had enough of you two mentioning that movie. From now on, there is to be no talk revolving around Inside Out 2, and especially no talk revolving around the Rule 34 version of the emotions. I hope I have made myself clear because I really don't want to hear any of that.
Can I at least talk about Donald Trump Rule 34?
No shot, that's an actual thing.
It most definitely is, and it is glorious.
Yeah, Donald, unfortunately, it is a very real thing. I've had the displeasure of having Joe show me while in the car. I noticed that a lot of bad things happen whenever someone is in the back seat of a car with Joe. But yeah, none of that talk at all because we have a list to start, and let me just go ahead and start it because the viewers have been waiting for this. So to start everything off, we have contempt, and for those who don't know, this is basically like a feeling of disdain or disgust for someone as a person. Another easy way of describing this would be to just say that the feeling you get whenever you hear Joe talk about Rule 34 is probably the closest thing you'll get to contempt or disdain towards Joe.
So how the hell is that different from disgust? It might as well be the same emotion.
Well, I'm glad you said that, Donald, because now I can clarify, and you see, the difference between disgust and contempt is our physical reaction. In disgust, we want to physically move away from the source, like when you see someone throw up in front of you, or maybe even see an animal poop in front of you, like you're disgusted and want to move away from that, unless you're a freak. But yeah, whereas in contempt, we don't necessarily want to remove ourselves from the situation because it isn't that bad to truly elicit a harsh form of disgust. So now to get to the actual rating, because all I've done is describe it, I think I would give contempt an A tier. Moving on though, we have another emotion that I feel quite a lot whenever I'm around either Donald or Joe, and that would be anger. Now, anger is not really the greatest emotion to have because it's not healthy to always be angry. But sometimes you just have to be angry at someone to get them to understand. Sadly though, I am only giving this a C tier because I'm trying to be less of an angry person because I'm not trying to die early.
I mean, if you want to live for a long time, just do my Joe method of eating whatever you want, whenever you want. It has worked for me so far, and I haven't even mentioned all the substances that I used.
That's because you're a human anomaly, Joe. And I doubt people will be as lucky as you when it comes to surviving off your blue Gatorade hot dogs and being on some form of illegal substance most days of the week. Honestly, it really just is some sick and twisted miracle that you're still alive, Joe. But it is what it is. Well, anyways, following that, we then have excitement. And this gets a freaking S tier, man. Who doesn't like to feel excited about things? Like that feeling of excitement when you were a kid during Christmas. Or maybe that excitement as an adult to get a week off of work and be able to travel somewhere. Or just the overall excitement to live life.
Or the overall excitement to take Somalian Percocets.
Or better yet, the overall excitement someone can receive when they order some McDonald's or Popeyes.
I liked my examples better, but sure, if you're addicted to substances like Joe, then I'm sure you'll agree with him. And if you're a calorie-challenged human being like Donald, well then I bet your dopamine receptors just go off the charts whenever you see a Big Mac on the screen. And if you're a normal person, then I'm sure you'll agree with my examples. Well, moving past that, we then have sadness, and that's going to be our very first D tier. Like, I would rather just not have that in my life, but I guess I can appreciate a bittersweet feeling more than anything else.
Oh, Barack, you young, gorgeous, and built young man. See, sadness may be a bad feeling, but it's a deeply essential part of the human experience. It's with us in our most lonely moments, reminding us just how fragile happiness can be, and without sadness, we wouldn't understand the true value of joy. We wouldn't appreciate the highs without the lows that make them meaningful.
Joe, no one really cared, bro, all that yapping, but let me ask you this, Joe, because I know I can change your answer with this one sentence. So you say sadness is important, but imagine a world without sadness. That means you would never get a sad post-nut clarity, Joe.
Jesus Christ, we need to give you a damn Nobel Peace Prize. I have now changed my mind, and Barack, you were right. It's a damn D tier.
It's so sad to see that it took that to change your mind, but also kind of squishy to see how much Donald cares about you.
I don't care about him. I just wanted to show everyone how dumb he was.
You definitely care for him to some degree, but I won't say anything. Well, now coming up next on our list, we have joy. And come on now, you have to be one cynical person to try to find a way to hate on joy. This is obviously getting an S tier, and there really isn't a counter argument for it. Like, are you going to say that someone being too joyous is a bad thing? Like, my bad bro, I'll find something to be sad about just because you're also probably sad. Some crab mentality there and extreme bitterness if you think that way. But anyways, moving past that, we then have disgust. And now this gets a slightly lower rating for me than contempt. So I have to give it a B tier. Like, when I think of disgust, I think of something truly vile. Like some feces, or like some spoiled food, someone throwing up, or like Joe making one of his blue Gatorade dogs.
Come on, man. We all know that me making my blue dogs would do anything but make you disgusted. I can already imagine the look of pure joy on my face when I see one of those bad boys served up to me.
But then you'd see me and Barack just giving you the biggest side eyes in the world because not a goddamn soul genuinely enjoys that.
Amen to that, Donald. Well, after that, we then have surprise, and I have to give this another high tier because I am placing this into A tier, because who doesn't like a good surprise? Like, that one is a pretty easy ranking there.
There can be bad surprises too, you know. Like, what if you go to the doctor and he gives you the surprising news that your body has deteriorated to the point where you only have the rest of this year to live? I'm pretty sure that's a bad surprise.
Okay, that's morbid as hell, but I imagine that you enter shock rather than feeling surprised, and that's a whole different thing. But yeah, moving past that weird example Joe gave out, we now have fear, and I'm giving this a C tier. Now hear me out on this, because fear isn't a good emotion to feel. I get that. But without fear, we wouldn't have horror movies and getting that suspenseful scare where you just have goosebumps and are anxiously waiting to see what happens next. But, oh man, that's a great feeling. I will say, though, that it would suck to actually be scared of, let's say, like a serial killer kidnapping you. In that case, fear would definitely be one of the worst things to feel in that moment.
Or that pain that comes with his endless hours of torture as the killer meticulously flays your skin over and over until you pass out from pain.
Okay, Joe is starting to creep me out, man. I don't want to hear from him anymore.
Yeah, let's just go ahead and keep doing the list and ignore him some more, because obviously it wasn't enough, and he's lashing out to get more attention. Well, following that, we now have shame up next, and this is something that everyone needs a lot more of, especially Joe. So I think I have to place this into A tier. Like, imagine a world where people were just more ashamed about their actions. Like, imagine a world where Joe didn't proudly boast about his broken relationship with his son, or more ashamed about sharing personal information about himself that absolutely no one wants to hear.
Yeah, and we would have avoided that whole weird Rule 34 Donald Trump conversation we had earlier, because if he had an ounce of shame, he would have not talked about it at all and kept it to himself, even if he did look it up.
Yeah, and if people had more shame, they'd also learn to eat a lot less, especially with how fat they're getting. And it should be a wake-up call that the Ozempic they're taking isn't helping them anymore, because that's just how much they're eating.
Don't know what that has to do with Joe, but yeah, I mean, he might know someone like that.
You're so close to the answer that you can almost touch it. Well, let's just go ahead and round off this list, because we now have guilt to end things off. And I have guilt going into B tier. I just feel like it's good to have emotions like these, because imagine a world where we have no guilt. Like, we'd have a society running rampant with psychopaths who have no sense of morality.
Yeah, but imagine feeling no guilt over some post-nut clarity.
He's kind of swaying me with that argument, Barack.
God damn it.
What is going on, gang-a-lang? We are back with another tier list, and this time around, we're going to be doing a fingers tier list. Isn't that quite fun? I get to rank every single fingy that we have on our hands, and oh boy, howdy. Let me tell you that different fingers are good for different things, if you're all catching my drift.
Joe, I don't think they are, because I don't even know what the hell you're blabbering about.
I'm just saying that, you know, there's a lot you can do with some fingers. A whole lot you can do with them. Like some real nice stuff that you can do, but might be considered gross to others.
If it's what I think it is, I don't want to hear it, Joe, because I swear to God, you don't seem to care if YouTube flags our videos for being inappropriate.
I don't do it for the views, I do it for the love of the game. But you didn't even let me say what I was going to say. Obviously, I was talking about licking your fingers after eating some chips. Some people think it's gross, but if you ask me, eating some chips and then having all that dust collect on your fingertip is just amazing. Or if you get your hand deep enough in the bag, your knuckles get all dusty and you got to lick the powder off those as well.
See, I do that, but I also just open the bag all the way so it's like completely spread out, and I can get that same finger I licked and just trace it along the bag, collecting every single morsel of flavoring from the bag and just going buck wild with it.
I don't even do it with my finger. I just get my big old Joe tongue out and just lick it up and down like I'm doing ass to mouth.
Okay, well, that last part was gross. I am still somewhat in shock that you didn't say anything gross, and just for that, Joe, I have to give you some props.
Come on, man, you got to have some more faith in the Joester. Like, I don't say gross and nasty things on purpose. It's just a part of my personality, and you just got to deal with it. Like, me and Donald put up with the fact that you're a furry, but you don't hear us say anything mean about you.
You two quite literally only say mean things about me being a furry, and if it's not that, then you guys instead choose to talk about how my tier lists suck or how I am a boring person with no personality. And if it's none of those things, well, then you two talk about what I did to the Middle East as if Joe wasn't my vice president at the time.
Yeah, but what do vice presidents even do? How are you going to blame Joe for all that?
I'm not blaming him. I'm just saying that if you guys are going to give me flack for it, well, then you should throw some at Joe, too.
So you into bullying old men now, Barack? What have I done, man? All I did was play Nintendo Wii and eat ice cream all day and occasionally go out to these boring press conferences with you. Well, at least my old clone did all of that, and I artificially inherited all of his memories, and I don't even know what iteration of Joe Biden we're on now. I shudder to think how replaceable I've become, all without anyone in the world, knowing that I have died and been replaced dozens upon dozens of times, and I'm forced to live out this never-ending existence of misery and pain. But at least they give me Coke and ice cream, and I ain't talking about the soda.
Wait, what the hell is Joe talking about Barack?
Oh, you know Joe. He's always going on about his funny jokes and stuff.
Testen Sie ZAM 95D. Verringern Sie das Erinnerungsvermögen der Vergangenheit um 35% und die Persönlichkeit um 10%.
Ja, mein Führer, ich habe den Speicher meiner Vergangenheit um 35% und meine Persönlichkeit 10% reduziert.
Sorry about that, everyone. I just had a little cough, and that's why I sounded so strange. Well, I don't know what Joe said, but let's go ahead and get this list started.
My head hurts, but then again, when doesn't it hurt? I need that 8-ball of the good stuff and stat. But yeah, I can do a fingers tier list, I guess. Didn't know we had that on the board for today.
Okay, what the hell just happened? Barack, what did you do to Joe? You clearly did something to alter his memory, and it wasn't like when I knew those phrases to change his language settings back in the mental illness tier list. Are you hiding some more stuff about Joe from me?
What? Me? I would never, Donald. I would never keep secrets from you, man, and you must have been imagining the whole thing because I just had a cough and Joe must have had an itchy throat or something.
Stop trying to gaslight me, man. I know something funny is happening and I won't stop till I get to the bottom of it.
Donald, come on now. How could I ever be gaslighting someone as smart and buff as you? Like, aren't you one of the smartest people on planet Earth? You're too smart to be gaslit, Donald. You'd have me figured out in a second, because haven't people said that your IQ exceeds that of an average human?
Well, I have been told that I make the common man look like a nincompoop when they're put up against my mind. And like you said, I am a very buff man, and I can even bench 4 plates at the gym. And that's 225 pounds, brother.
Wow, 2 plates. Way to go, man. That's not at all weak and unimpressive, considering you weigh more than the 4 plates you're benching. But yeah, oh my God, Donald, you are amazing. Can you tell me more about how you get your hair looking so good? I swear, me and Joe always wonder how you get it looking so perfect every single time.
See, I'm glad you asked this, because the trick is to get out the shower and dry your hair, but not completely. You want a little moisture on there, and then you get some Lay Right Natural Matte Cream and put some all over your hands and texture your hair and get it looking how you want it to look. And naturally, it'll look as amazing as my hair does. And my other secret trick is that every other day, I use some leave-in conditioner, and every other week I use a concoction of oils like coconut oil, argan oil, and avocado oil, and I let that marinate in my hair so that it can help my scalp and make my roots healthier.
Now that's an amazing hair care routine if you ask little old Joe. I just spit on my hands and just let it fly.
And that's why your hair looks absolutely awful, Joe. And why the hell haven't we started this list? Joe, what the hell are you doing, you absolute idiot? Go and start it and stop wasting our time.
Yeah, Joe, why don't you start the list, buddy?
Yeah, I guess, well, starting the list off, we got the index finger, also known as the forefinger, pointer finger, and I call it the poking finger. This is an auto S tier because I use this for pointing at stuff, pressing buttons, but most importantly, I use this to pick my nose, and God damn it, do be satisfying.
Valid as hell, Joe. This had to be an S tier purely for the nose-picking aspect of it.
You know I got you, Donald. I was going to add that this is also used to poke dead stuff, and the index finger is an absolutely essential finger for a ditty party, but I didn't want to make the video too freaky. I held back on that comment for whatever weird reason. I just felt like it wasn't appropriate. But anywho, back onto the list at hand, and after the pointer finger, we now have the pinky up next. Now listen, the pinky is probably one of the fingers people would cut off most if they were asked to sacrifice a finger. But in all actuality, I have this bad boy going straight into B tier. See, it isn't amazing, but I do think that it is underrated. Like when you rest your phone on your hand, the pinky is always at the bottom, supporting it like the silent hero that it is. That being said, I mean, I'd probably definitely survive without a pinky, but I wouldn't be all that happy about it.
Joe, I don't think a single soul would be happy about losing a finger. That's not exactly something that someone loses and goes, well, thank God that's out of the way.
Yeah, and if people lose a pinky, then they won't be able to be fancy like when SpongeBob goes in Sandy's dome for the first time. And he was holding his pinky up the whole time, and god damn did that look fancy. I love me that sponge so much. But yeah, moving past that, we now have the middle finger. And let me just point out that this arrangement is weird. It's not even left to right or right to left. It's just randomly put together, but I actually think I like that. But yeah, back onto the middle finger. Now this is the no-no finger, and it is very naughty and is mean, and normally I'd place it low. But considering that this is an important finger for stability when holding stuff and how you can also point and pick with it, well, I gotta give this bad boy an S tier.
Joe, you really shouldn't be pointing with your middle finger. You're gonna give people the wrong idea.
Joe, don't listen to him. You're not giving anyone the wrong idea, and I actually think you should be using that finger more.
Well, now if I have Donald telling me that I should use it more, well, shucks, I guess I have to use it more. But yeah, now moving on to our second to last entry, and we now have the ring finger. And listen, I bet everyone was talking mad trash about the pinky, but guess what, guys? I'm going to disrespect the ring finger more because I have this going into C tier. Like, what is even good about this finger? Like, you can show off that you're married, and that's lame in itself. But then if you really dive into the cold, hard facts, you realize something about the ring finger. You realize how absolutely useless it is because you can literally operate perfectly fine without it. Like, go ahead and try it out yourselves. Go grab your phone and hold it without the ring finger. You'll realize it really isn't needed. And the same thing can apply to remotes, glasses, water, like you name it, and it won't need the ring finger. Go ahead and hate me because you all know that I'm secretly right. I am a part of the pinky supremacy group.
Joe, that is absolutely stupid, bro. I don't know how the hell you can even think that a pinky is more important than a ring finger.
One day you will all see the light. Joe will point. Haha, get it? But yeah, I will point you all to the right direction. But anyways, finishing off this list, we have the thumb, and we all know where this is going. I have to place this into S tier, and there's no other way I would have it. There are so many uses for the thumb, like hitchhiking, giving thumbs ups, texting, sucking, and so much more.
Hold on, let's pause for a moment. Now, did you just say that you use the thumb for sucking?
I did. What are you going to do about it?
Damn, he's calling you out, Barack. What are you going to do about it? You going to sit there and take it, or are you going to man up, bro?
Well, I won't be doing anything, I guess.
That's what I thought, pussy. What is up, gang-a-lang? We are finally here. Donald said that he would take away my precious writing utensils tier list, but thankfully I managed to convince Fraile and Donald to let me do this list. Because as you all know, Donald tried to take away my privileges to do this video in the exotic snacks tier list, and I simply was not going to let that slide.
Joe, no one was gunning for this video anyways. The only W you got was the fact that we did this video sooner rather than later. You think me or Barack were frothing at the mouth and on our hands and knees begging to do a damn writing utensils tier list?
Yeah, Joe. You already know I hate doing lists like these, and Donald hates anything that isn't food related, so I'm sure he would have only done this list if you changed writing to food utensils instead.
All right, man, relax, but I will say, that video may indeed go hard as hell. Like, I can rank spoons, forks, sporks, chopsticks, bare hands, knives, skewers, fondue sticks, and even a damn soup spoon.
Wait, they have spoons just for soups?
Of course they do, Sleepy Joe. Haven't you ever wondered why they give you that big-ass spoon with your ramen alongside the chopsticks? Like, you're supposed to get the soup in there and then use the chopsticks to put the noodles in there, and you can just eat that up right at the end and you'll get the flavor of the broth and the noodles.
See, I usually just eat it all with my chopsticks and chug the broth at the very end.
I was expecting something a lot more gross from you, Joe. So kudos on you for not doing that this time.
Come on, Barack. I know when to behave and when to act civilized. I can't be acting a damn fool when getting ramen. I'll be upsetting all the ABGs over there.
AB what? Are you talking about arterial blood gas?
Come on, old man. Get with the times. ABGs stand for Asian baby girls, and you find these type of girls all over California, which is why it's literally the best state ever, despite a McChicken costing like $10 over there. But that's just the price you have to pay in order to find yourself a nice ABG. But don't worry, everyone, because I have a life hack for anyone who is not from California but still wishes to get themselves an ABG. See, the trick to catching them is to go to literally any rave or boba place around you. This is where the ABGs tend to congregate, and you can go in there and infiltrate their area.
Why do you make it sound like some Metal Gear Solid mission where you're infiltrating some top secret base? If you're that interested in women, why not just sign up for a dating site?
Barack, are you not listening to the man? He said he's hunting for ABGs, and not just any ordinary woman can satisfy his needs. Joey is currently talking about the thrill of the hunt, and we need to pay attention to his lessons.
Well, thank you, Donald.
Okay, let's not have you two acting all civilized just for the sake of ensnaring women. Instead, just get this damn list started, Joe. Because I can assure you that our female audience is not happy to be hearing all this.
What if they're girls who like girls? What then, Barack?
Damn. I mean, you got me there. I guess they'd be jotting down notes like Donald is.
That's what I freaking thought, man. Well, either way, you did bring up a great point, because while I can talk about ABGs for a long time, I do have a list to get underway, and I can always get back to it another time. Well, yes, starting this wonderful writing utensil tier list off, we have the mechanical pencil. And let me just say that we are starting the list off with some pure heat, because this is an automatic S tier. This is basically the best way to write. And this replaces the traditional number 2 pencil, in my opinion. Like, you don't have to deal with sharpening it. You don't have to worry about the tip looking all weird and having wood on one side where there shouldn't be wood. Don't have to worry about how much lead you have because you can always buy more, while with the number 2 pencil, you only have what you're given. These are all reasons why you should all make the switch to mechanical if you haven't already.
This MFer sounds like he's like Elon trying to convert everyone to electric vehicles or something.
But unlike Elon, he's actually spitting facts, because I don't think I can ever switch back to a traditional pencil after using a mechanical pencil.
The Joe Dog knows, and that's why the Joe Dog is the best tier list maker on this damn planet. But yeah, following that absolute monster of an entry, we then have the Expo marker. And listen here, everyone, I'm giving this an A tier. And I know a lot of you may be calling me crazy, but you can write on metal desks, whiteboards, wood, and a whole lot more, and be able to rub it off. Now you can use it on paper too, and it won't look absolutely awful, but obviously other markers are better for that. But what the Expo marker has that something like the Sharpie doesn't have is simply the erasability. Like, if you mess up with a Sharpie, it's basically wraps. But with an Expo marker, it's not wraps, and you can actually fix your mistake most of the time. And I have to give it that high of a rating because of that.
Joey does have a point here, because erasability is a huge thing for me. Like, when you use an Expo marker to draw some schlongs on someone's forehead, it's a harmless prank. But when you use a Sharpie instead to draw a pecker or something offensive on someone, well, then it's not a harmless prank anymore, and you're kind of just being a douche.
But, Donald, you must have the two mixed up or something, because whenever I fall asleep at the sleepover first, you always tend to use Sharpies on me, or even a ballpoint pen, and I'll wake up with either harsh Sharpie lines on my face or some bleeding pen lines all over me.
Yeah, I know what I use on you. I use it for a reason.
It's because we're that close, right? You know I won't get offended or think you hate me.
Whatever helps you sleep at night, Joe.
Well, some melatonin helps me, but the thought of my friends cuddling me also helps a lot too. I don't know what that has to do with what we were talking about, but whatever. Well, we now have our next entry, and that is the number 2 pencil, and listen. I did poo-poo all over it earlier when talking about the mechanical pencil, but I don't think it's as bad as the other things on this list. I have to give it a B tier, in all honesty, because I would still much rather have this than a lot of other things.
You know what? A B tier might still be a bit too high for me, but I guess we can leave it there because of legacy reasons.
I don't know why the hell you're acting like you have any input, Barack. What do you mean, we'll leave it there? You have no say on this, and the only reason it is staying there in B tier is because I am allowing it to be there. There is no we in this tier list, Barack. It's only whatever the Joester says it is. But yeah, moving past that, we have the Sharpie. And even though I trashed this and said the Expo marker was better, I still have it going into C tier. Like, this is good and all, and I like how much more bolder the colors are. But not being able to erase Sharpie is a pain, and trust me, I've scrubbed my fair share of male genitalia off my face, and Sharpie is a pain in my behind. Not as painful as actual ink and quill, because that is getting our very first D tier of the damn list. Like, I don't know who the hell even uses an ink and quill. Like, what are we? Some Renaissance men writing up their manifesto or something?
Joe, I hate that you're spitting here, but yeah, I agree that it's dumb as hell. And if any of the viewers watching using an ink and quill, well, your ass better be using it to inject ink into your skin or something. Because if I catch a MFer writing with that, man, I will split a wig.
I really don't think it's all that serious.
Found our ink and quill sympathizer, and of course it's Barack of all people. God, you make me so angry, man. Thankfully, though, we have something that brings me joy. And that is our next 2 entries, because I have back-to-back A tiers in the ballpoint pen and the Crayola markers. What is there not to like about these 2 entries?
Okay, but Joe, wasn't one of the major complaints about Sharpies the fact you couldn't erase them? So why are ballpoint pens being rated so highly if you can't erase them either?
Oh my God, just hearing your voice is like hearing someone scratch on a chalkboard or something. Listen, man. Is it so hard to grasp the concept of erasable pens? That's a thing, buddy. Look it up. And even if it wasn't, what do you want me to do about forms? You want me to sign a form with a damn pencil so that anyone can change it and alter what I wrote? Or would you rather me sign with a freaking Sharpie so I can look like a professional syndrome of the down?
Syndrome of the Down kind of goes hard. They should make a band called that.
Joe was just being mean, and he made fun of System of the Down.
Nah, man, I merely altered one word in there. See how easy it is to alter things when you aren't using a pen? God, man, quit making me dunk on you all day. Ahem, but yeah, moving on, we then have 2 back-to-back S-tier entries in the crayon and colored pencil. Now, if you're an artist, you already know how much you appreciate these two, and colored pencils are a more refined crayon, but I appreciate both equally. I mean, I am the man who did the crayon tier list. So, I think I know what I'm talking about when I say that crayons are elite and that colored pencils are elite as well.
I mean, making tier lists doesn't make you an expert on the topic. Any idiot can do it. I mean, just look at what we're doing right now.
What the heck do writing utensils have to do with idiots? I swear this guy doesn't know how to properly debate or something. That's why you're me and Donald's moderator and why you'll never take the debate floor.
I mean, I wouldn't want to either way.
You're only saying that because I took it away from you. No take C's, back C's. But yes, now moving on to our final 2 entries on the list, we have chalk and the Nintendo DS stylus. Now these are both back-to-back C tiers because I hate how messy chalk is. And I also don't like the grating sound it makes on the board, but it still gets the job done. And while the Nintendo stylus may not be an actual writing utensil, it still goes immensely hard when drawing or writing on the DS, so it belongs in C tier at least. Flipnote Studio went absolutely schizo nuts on the DS.
They still go hard if you ask me.
Not as hard as me at this very moment, though.
Okay, that's enough.